So I'd like to introduce Madeleine Turgeon. She's a visual and mosaic artist from Quebec. And she's one of the organizers of the Mosaic for Afghan Women's Project. And I mentioned earlier that Kim Wozniak, who is coordinating for the US,
Yes,
sent me a PDF on how to ship and where to ship your finished mosaic. And I'll be sharing that with you along with a link to the recording in the next few days.
okay.
Right? So why don't you take it away, Madam?
Okay, so excited. You'll see. I'll first start by showing you some pieces that I have here. We've been starting to receive some pieces from Canada. I'll be assembling the first part of the scarf in about probably 2 weeks. I need about 10 to really start assembling the whole thing, but you'll see it'll be really amazing. So I'll show you some pieces. This is a lady only been, well, she started this summer only, and I think she's done 4 pieces so far, but it's really lovely. Mix of Sarah, glass, beads, pretty much. And this is a broken plate, so kind of cute. Just want to show you the background once it's done, because it's done on mesh, okay? The reason why, it's because we need something to grab in the back. You could see, can you see the back? That one was the Thinset, a black Thinset done, and I'll show you the method done with a pastry bag, okay? So it looks like that, and we're gonna set that in Thinset and cement for the final pieces. So what we will do, just let me explain you first. Oh, it's backward. It's true that it's a mirror sort of, but don't read the thing. It's okay. It's like a snake. It looks like a snake. And we will have just about 10 section. We call them section. And the end here is the corner, okay? So we're gonna start by doing the long section, which are, you're in the States, so it's not 10 by 25 centimeters, but it is. There we go. I had to reverse it because the computer makes it reverse like a mirror. So the 10 by 25 centimeters is 13 by 15/16 inch by 9 7/8 inches. Okay, so we'll just make sure that you do have the right proportion. If you do have a ruler with centimeters and inch, way to go, it's easier, but otherwise this is the right measurements, okay? Okay, let me show you another one, totally different. I put saran wrap to keep all the pieces, so make sure it's okay. Can you hear me well? Is it okay? Yeah. Okay, fine. There we go. So that one has beads as half piece of, oh, we call them in French cabochon. I don't know what's it's half of a circle. So, and there's also a little piece here that is metal. These are little roses because Afghan people, they do introduce a lot of metal in their in their dresses, and like it could be coins, it could be anything metal. But since it's the International Year of the Glass, we try to keep it mostly in glass. I would say just about 80% and more. If you do have a little bit of ceramic, it's okay. It just depends what you have as material. So I'd rather have the piece with a little bit of ceramic or anything that you want to include to do your motif or pattern than not having it at all. This is one that I've done. That one is, I'll show you very, very close because that one has all sort of beads. Everything is glass. Nothing is ceramic in that one, really. And I have a contemporary one. That one was, I just received that one, and it's like copper and recycled piece of glass. Okay, so these are for the straight ones. Let me show you the corner. I do have two corners. Wait a sec. And one I'll show you later. So this is one of the corner. Everything is glass except these three leaves. So it's just beautiful. It was taken from directly from a dress. And the trick for the corners to make them realistic, they have to be sort of in darker in this part because it's the ribbon, the back of the ribbon, and this is the front part. So that one has to be much punchy, if I would say. The color has to be very vivid in the front and much darker in the back. So it creates like a perspective that way, okay? So it's like flowers and you could see how shiny it is. Okay, this is the other one. Yes?
Madeline, somebody had a question early on whether they could do more than one piece.
Yes. Yep.
Okay.
Yep. That one is the second corner. It hasn't been cut yet. And these one will be set on, it's called a PVC panel because I don't work at all on wood. I had my lesson 10 years ago, or I can't remember, but woods tend to move with cold and the weather and the humidity, it tends to move. So your mosaic could crack. So this is why I'm using PVC panel. They're 1/4 of an inch thick, and the one I'll be using is black. So I won't have to do the edge. So we will have, each corner will be done individually, and the long section will be done on a long panel. So it will be probably the length of 10 sections. So just about 2.5 meters, which is just about 8 feet. Okay. So that's it. The one I will show you to do today with the method is what I did is, the reason you won't see me, pardon me, sorry, but at least you will see what I do. So I printed my design. This one is a complicated one. I never do anything easy. So that one is quite complicated. So it's like a big flower border all around. So I print it twice. And what I do is I place my my pieces on my second one. So they're all ready when I work on the piece. So the piece is here. All right. Let me just put a little bit more light. Oops. Is that better? Okay. Mm-hmm. So I started using, because I've received a little while ago containers and containers of beads. I do have a lot in back on my shelf. And these are all glasses. They're made in India. They're also made in China. And it's like the leftover when they're all mixed up. When the leftover each beads, they put them and sell them as batches. So I got the blue, the green, all sort of colors. So since they're all glass, it could be used, no problem with that. So you could mix using Tessera, you could use anything that is glass. I also introduced a plate that was broken. So this kind of material, just watch out because they're quite sharp. These ones, what they call the Tessera from Briar from France. I do have all sort of, these are Mexican Tessera. I do have some from Mexico and Italy. And I do have all these lovely little pieces, the gold shimmering pieces that could be used either on one side or the other, the gold or the silver as well. Plus commercial, commercial pieces. These are small ones. They come as these ones. Yep. Can you see? But what I don't like of those is the edge. So I cut all my edge because they look commercial when you see the edge. So I do cut them. I do cut the edge. Whoops, sorry. So I end up with pieces like that. Quite easy to cut. I do have several tools. The old one. And they're quite easy to cut with these. Or my latest one. And these are a charm. These are just the best so far. Okay. So everybody knows how to cut glass.
Yeah.
Is it? Yes, think so. Okay.
Actually, there
I
are.
know we do have different level of people, but it's fine. Some
Yeah.
people will just use the pieces as is, so don't worry.
We have a couple
Okay.
of questions.
Yes.
So Corinne is asking, was the measurement in inches 9 7/8 inches by 3 15/16 inches?
Yeah, 3. The 10 centimeters is 3, 15, 16. And the 25 centimeters is 9 inch and 7/8.
Okay. All right. And then Anne had a question. Okay. Is there a good source for patterns?
If you just type Afghan dress, there's thousands. If you go on Pinterest, there's so many, it will be hard to choose. I'm telling you, there's so many because when the Taliban took over the country, a lot of exiled women from Afghanistan shown their dresses on Pinterest, on Twitter's, whatever, on the social media. So it was like a way of saying, we don't want to lose our culture. So this is why we decide to honor Afghan women and do something like that. We were just expecting probably 100 or 200 people at the most, but now we're almost 700 today. And 40, I think it's 42 countries. Australia is really crazy. They do have 5 states, and they will have 1 scarf per state. In the States so far, I think we do have about 125 section. And Kim had asked some mosaic artists to do the corners as well, because we don't need many corners. We need about, for 60 section, we need about 5 or 6 corners. So France also, France do have close to 140 participants. And they're all different. If you go on the website, on the Facebook page, none are identical. It's amazing the variety of different patterns. So that pattern, as I chose, is using my beads to start with. I wanted to do something quite easy because the material was all cut. And I will fill up with Mexican tessera. So that pink part here, I will show you how to do it with the material. So first of all, let me just, you won't see me, so I'll just bend over a little bit. Okay. So I do use, I should wear my mask, wait a sec. Because when you mix the Thinset, you should always wear your mask because of the powder, and it's in a powder shape for the moment. So let me just put my mask. And what I do is you could use a little container like that, or you could use silicone container. These are so great because you let it dry and then you just move it around and it falls. So I find these ones much more convenient because I don't have to throw all these things, plastic glass, cups. So I use water. I just tap water, and I will just, it's all been mixed. Oh, sorry, I forgot. I do have two colors in there. I do have a gray, which is Carabon outside, Carabon outdoor, I mean, and I do have white latricrete. So I do have a mix of two because I wanted a light color. I do have in this little container the pigment. Pigment should never be used more than 10% of the weight. Okay, so I just add my, so it's all dry now. Okay, so you mix it well, and at the end, when it's well mixed, then you add your water, tiny bit. Okay, now I can remove my mask. Okay, and you go slowly because you don't want to end up with something that is too liquid. A bit more. And you want the texture of peanut butter, but a smooth peanut butter, so it goes in your piping bag. I used to use a Ziploc bag before, but I had two incidents where the bag popped or it broke. So I discovered this fantastic piping bag, and I don't want to change anymore to Ziploc bag. Okay, we're getting it just almost.
Madeleine,
Okay. Yeah.
you know where the mosaics will be installed?
In the States, we're looking, since we have over 100, probably we'll end up probably having close to 200. We'll have probably 2 installation, one in Washington. We're looking for Washington with the Smithsonian Museum, and probably one in California. So it's not, we want to wait until we do have the total amount of sections. So now let me show you. These are the piping bags for those who do cupcakes and cakes. I could give you the address. I bought them on Amazon. Let me just take one. Oops. So. That is so much fun with these piping bags because they're very pointy, so they stay. They like to. There you go. So let's see the texture. You always leave your Thinset for about 5 minutes, so it cures a tiny bit. So this is a little bit too, I would say too. I will just add just a little bit more water. There you go. Okay. So, and I always keep in the silicone spatula. So just to empty my whole thing, I'll do it quickly because I could. And the thing is, using that method leaves you more time. It doesn't dry, and it's very important, especially when you do have thin pieces or beads. It gives you much more time to work. What do I do when I with my stuff? I either let it dry or I put it in a pail with water. So I will do that. All right. There we go. That's the fun part. Okay. Scissors. And you just cut just about less than half 1/4 of an inch. Okay, so I'll twist and I'll just make a knot. You get it? So that's the thing. Okay, so now if I would have to do, let me just organize here so you see. Just let me know if you don't see properly. That Thinset, what I did this afternoon, the leftover, I always keep the leftover. You know, when you don't use the whole bag. I do have all sort of material. This is pieces of different colors of Thinset. This is the turquoise, and it's very, very sturdy. When you use it properly, I can't break it. So this is why set on a mesh, it's very, very sturdy, and there's no, you won't get it broken in transportation, in the shipping. Okay, so let me put that underneath. Okay. Do you see properly? Okay. So I do have all these tools. I do have a dentist, all these dentist tools. You need tweezers, the long one, medical one. I'm lucky because I do have a few members of my family in the health system, so it's quite easy. And besides me, I have all these pieces that are pre-cut, okay? Not exactly the right size, but I will put them. So let's see. Let's start by doing the part here, like the pink petal. So I'll put my long one. Usually I work flat, so we'll see how it goes. I've got that little one here. That will go here. And I tend to put my pieces very, very close so I don't see my my Thinset. So this is 2 pieces. Let's put something on this side. So that way you just put just a tiny bit, just enough so to set your piece. There we go. Whoops. Usually works better on flat surface, but there we go. And I work upside down, so there we go. And this one should be okay. Looks like that. If I do have, like the way I did this part, the section, because this section could have been a piece of glass, like long piece of glass. The edge has to be set properly. They have to be very straight, okay? So the way I did this section at the bottom, that's the fun part. Wait a sec, just want to make sure that you see what I'll try to do it that way. Okay. Sorry if I shake because I'm upside down. And so it's like glazing a cupcake. And here's my little black pieces. These are tiny black glass beads, and I'll set them directly. Whoops. So you need the piece to be a good third of its height. So it has to be pushed in the Thinset. Don't worry if it blobs on each side. I'll show you how to clean it. You need just about half an hour. It will just be easy to remove afterward on each side. So what I tend to do is I start at one place and I go and work out from my middle or from the corner and center. Usually I wouldn't do that because I have to fill up the space there, but okay. I don't know if it's straight because I'm backward, not backward, but I'm above my piece. So you get the point? Okay, so let me see. So once it's just in about half an hour, just 15 minutes, whatever, I take my tool and I just remove the excess. It's too gooey for the moment, okay? So each part will be done like that. I pre-cut my piece of white for the surrounding, like all the part will be white. There'll be pink and light blue. That one came from a wedding dress. If this is one thing, if you put Afghan wedding dress, it's just amazing. There's so many nice patterns. So just pick one, pick a sleeve. It could be just the top. It's just, there's so many patterns. You'll be impressed. So this is the way I do it. I won't be doing too much because it's kind of awkward to do it upside down. But I do use all my tools to cut. I don't know if you know the trick of doing some curve with these tools. Do you? Do anyone don't know how to do it? Because I can't show it. I'm really good at that. I'll show you if I do have a piece. Probably you don't. I don't know if any of you have these Breda snippers. They're really good. This is the conventional that most people do have. Sorry. And I like to have both because I tend to, this one is much closer, so I could use tiny, very thin pieces. And this one is a little bit, it's probably, well, 2/8 of an inch almost. This one is much tighter. So to give a shape, a curved shape, you just stay really, sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't, but you give a twist and it becomes a natural. If you just cut straight, you'll have a straight line. But if you give a twist with your wrist towards the exterior, you'll get curved one. Whoops, that one. Let me just take the one that, because these one are curvy, so they don't really work sometimes. There you go. So by twisting outward, it gives you this kind of shape that they're, whoops, they're kind of curvy. Otherwise, they are very straight. So that's a trick to get, because I do have a lot of curve and I need all these curves to fill up my pedal in that case, in the, whoops, sorry. Sorry. So I need a lot of curve to fit my pedal. So this is the way I do curve my on my piece. It works well with stained glass, anything that is glass that way. So do you have any questions? Does it give you a good idea? You could unmute and talk to me. I sometimes it's just
Okay.
I have a question about, you mentioned a Facebook page to
Yeah.
go and look at. What's the name of the Facebook page or group?
The group page is Mosaic for Afghan women. There's no S at Mosaic, and you'll end up on the Facebook page.
Thank you.
Have you all received, if you're registered, if you've sent your name to Mosaic for Afghan women at gmail.com, you will receive the information. If you're not, I could send it to you, Amy, and you could just transfer it to your member.
Sure. Actually, in the description, we have a link to the email address you just mentioned. So I think people
exactly
have that. But Carol had a question. Can we use small glass 1/4-inch squares to create a pattern?
Yes, anything. If you go on the on the Facebook page, you'll see some people, it depends on the country, the availability of the material. In the Middle East, they do have these tiny little piece of glass and they're squared and they do patterns, like it's just amazing what they do. They sell it that way. I haven't found any of these micro sort of tessera here in commercial use. In Brazil, South America, they do have a lot of fusion glass, and it's just amazing what they do. There's a link for a lady who sells very cheap pieces, round shape, petal shape. It's called Mero Mellow, and I could transfer you the information. She's a lovely lady, and it's quite cheap for material, much cheaper than tessera. So they're pre-cut, they're fused to size. So there's 1/2 inch, 1 inch, there's petal, there's zigzag or sort of wavy shape. It was just a discovery. She got in touch with someone who knew about our project, and she sent me an email, and I discovered this lady. So I'm just waiting for my shipment soon.
Can you put the name of the lady or the email address in the chat?
I have to find it on my, but I
Okay.
could send it to you and then you send
Sure,
it
I
back.
can
Is that
send it
okay?
out. Yes.
And what I'll do also, I'll send you the, if you want, these wonderful bags. It costs $10 for 100 bags. So, and I push quite hard with my, when I need like a bunch of Thinset, when I need a good push, so far it never broke on me. So it's much better than Ziploc. And what I do, let me show you. When I do leftover, this is for another project. This one is from this afternoon and it dries and it's like a snake sort of. So that could become like a flower and something. You could be creative and using anything you want in Mosaic. You could use branches, you could use, it doesn't have to be bought material. You go to the beach and get some pebbles and this is the fun part, using some material from your surrounding.
We have some additional questions. Can we use any tile mesh?
Yes, it is tile mesh actually. Oh, I forgot to show you something. I'll show you on one piece, okay? Wait. Once I put my, because it's already done, that one is already done, but just to make sure that you understand how it's set up. Because you'll probably work on your, at home. So I just will do it quickly. Let's see, let me just, if I would set up my board, I use these styrofoam board, they're quite handy. So I glue first my design. It could be just a square pattern, whatever. You do your size, you do your drawing, and you tape it. So just tape it quickly. And I do use, if you don't, I do use this kind of acetate. It comes in a roll. Since I do work in school, I do have this material very handy. And so you have to put your, wait a sec, let me get organized. Okay, so it's not the right length though, but you set up your acetate. If you don't have that, you could just have saran wrap. Okay, so you cover your design because it's very important so it doesn't stick. Your Thinset doesn't stick on your paper. So this is why we're having plastic in between. Okay, so let me just show you the right way. So give me just a minute. This piece come in. Because getting it set properly is important. Okay. What about that part? So that piece will go there. And then, what kind of mesh? This is important too. I use fiberglass mesh. Any tile place have those mesh. It's quite common, or big surface, any hardware store would keep these mesh. Okay, so let me take, I'll put it with the Scotch tape, but usually I don't with Scotch tape, or it's just I'll be much quicker. So you set up everything. Let's see quickly. And then you put your mesh, and you just need about 1/2 inch all around. So that way you get ready. And what I do, like this one, I tape my green tape the exact size of the 10 by 25 centimeters, or the difference. Okay, so that way I know I'm keeping everything straight and stay inside my my design. Because some tend to, if you work and it's sort of wedgy here, we will have problem when we set every piece is side by side, because each of them has to fit side by side once it's done. And we're gonna try to match every pieces. So it's beautiful. So we might end up having some blue ones and red ones, and depending on the final pieces. So that will be the fun part, when we receive every pieces and then we assemble them. So this is the way of doing it. Keep your design simple if you're not used to the method, and try that thing, because it's quite easy. Anything, I know in the States you do have Carabon, you do have anything that works well as a Thinset. You don't have to buy a 50-pound bag. There's some smaller bags. So just I do get most of the time outdoor. So it works for outdoors, and it also worked for indoor. So I don't have to buy indoor or outdoor. It's always outdoor that way. So.
Madeleine, can you use wax paper instead of saran wrap?
No. I really prefer plastic, anything like saran wrap. It could be a plastic bag, like anything that you could straighten, because the wax keeps the moisture of the Thinset, and it will set to your paper. So you'll end up with the back of your piece all glued. Your wax paper will be glued in the back. Mm-hmm. Parchment, it's the same thing. Don't use parchment either. So it really has to be plastic. The best is anything. I don't tend to use saran wrap, because it's quite thin, and you could if you poke it with a piece of glass, it might end up going or sleeping underneath. But anything like just a grocery bag would be fine too, if you straighten the back.
Okay, I think I've asked all the questions that have been written in chat. Does anybody have any questions they want Madeleine to address? You can unmute your phone.
What's our timetable? When are these due?
On 1st of May. If you send your email and just give your name and say you're with NEMS, I'll send you all the information. The May 1st is sort of the deadline, but I'm saying if we receive some afterwards, it's okay still, but we have to plan in May. We didn't want to end up at the last moment, because we do have so many to prepare, and I have to organize as well other countries. We do have 14 representative in different countries, but we do have to organize the installation later. So this is why we don't want to end up at the end. May 1st is pretty much sort of the deadline to receive the photo, and then it has to be shipped as soon after the 1st of May to Kim, which is the information I send you for shipping. If you do send me your email, because every one of you has to be registered unless you send me a bunch of names and their photos as well. So if you do it individually, they're all taken individually as well.
Yes, I would suggest that people do it individually, so
Yeah,
I don't
it's
have.
easier for me. It's easier for me too. But you could mention it's with them. If you do have enough, let's say you manage to do 30 some, the minimum is 36. If each of you do 2 and you have something like 36 or 40, you could have your own scarf in New England. I don't know where, Massachusetts or whatever. That would be great if you can manage to do one on your own. This is something for a big group. They've done that in France. There's one group, I think they do have 50 pieces. So they will set their own in a community center. They found a place. We also have in Germany, instead of having an installation like, I'm saying like a scarf, but it looks like a snake sort of, they will manage to do all the pieces on a column, a huge, I think it's about like 4 feet wide. It's a granite column, and they want to sort of swirl all the pieces around the column. So that's unusual, but it's fine with me too. So it's people are creative, and it will be nice at the end to see how people install the final pieces, because each representative are taking care of their own installation. I won't be going to every places in the world to install these pieces. That's the beauty of the thing. But we'll be traveling later to meet the group.
Okay, so we have a few more questions.
Yes, go ahead.
Roberta asks if we're supposed to spread a thin layer of Thinset on the back of the.
No, because if you do that, you will end up hiding, or not hiding, but covering the mesh. And the mesh is the grabber. It's what will set in the cement. So it's very important to see the mesh in the back. I could see in this part, I had 2 different colors or 3 different colors of Thinset. So it's very, very important to not to cover that one. It's spread a lot, but I still have some good grabbing places. It's important, otherwise it might slide.
Mhm.
So
Carol is asking if you can send the pattern for the corners.
yes, there's instruction that comes with the corners, and whoever will be doing some corners, we have to respect perspective, and because there's the left and right corners. They're the same, but they're flop. They're symmetrical. So the shape is the same, but we call them right and left corners, just to make sure that people don't do all right corners and end up with right corners, and then you can't place it. So it's very important, because otherwise you won't see the flowing ribbon. So I could do that. Yep. So the instruction is pretty clear. If you do have any you need information for that, just let me know. I wouldn't give that to people who just started doing Mosaic. You need someone that control pretty well either the technique or and also a question that is often asked, can people who do stained glass, they do, you'll see on the Facebook page, there's few of them that are done with stained glass and they're very flat and they grout it. And it's okay too. As long as your Thinset underneath your stained glass is thick enough, because stained glass is quite thin, and just make sure that nothing moves and put the grout and it's fine. The only thing and the danger of doing that without the technique that is the direct technique is the pieces could break in the shipping. So it will be very important when you ship your piece. If you ship it to Kim, as the shipping label I gave you, put it between two cardboard and saran wrap and bubble wrap, whatever. Put it in the box, but make sure that we don't end up with broken pieces. We could manage to repair them, but if you have special pieces, that will be kind of hard to repair. So it's very important. This is why each of my pieces are set on, I do have these little cardboard and just the right size, and I put them in the back so I could stack them without any problem. Mm-hmm. And you could leave a bit of the mesh all around, or you could cut it to the edge. I prefer leaving about 1/8 of an inch. Why? Because once we will set all the pieces on our long board, we will probably have an edge to reunite every pieces. There will be something in between the section, and there'll be also an edge, like a border, to unite every pieces. So this is why I prefer having just 1/8 of an inch, so it goes in the next the edge, what will be probably with the black Thinset.
Is there any flexibility in that piece you just showed us? Like you said someone wanted to put it around a column, so is there flexibility?
Well, the column, not really, but the column is just it's so large that each pieces won't be on a curve. I wouldn't manage to do that on a small column, because, well, it's kind of flexible, sort of, see, but yeah. I don't want to break anything, so
right.
That's not the best idea. Plus, you won't get the whole thing. The point is to see all the pieces. If you do swirl around the column, well, the top one, you have to go all around, so you don't get the impact of one big scarf.
Right. And is is that what you're calling it, a scarf? Because a couple of times you said ribbon.
Well, but it flows like a ribbon, but it is a scarf. Yes, a scarf. We call it scarf, but this is what it's not what they call it. They don't have scarf like we do in North America. In Afghanistan, it's mostly veil and stuff, but it's just like a different material, like a scarf to unite all these pieces and these pattern. And I bought, where did I put it? I bought a book. It's called Pattern from Afghanistan. I could give you the link as well. I bought it on Amazon. I got it the next day. I was just amazed. I thought it was sometimes it's amazing. And they do have all these patterns. but I prefer looking at real dresses and create my own pattern from these dresses. We
Mhm.
do have a family. Well, there's quite a few Afghan in Canada, especially in Montreal, and I met this family in Sherbrooke. There's 5 of them, and they brought their dresses from Afghanistan. They lived a couple years in Pakistan before arriving in Montreal, and she showed me all her dresses. There's one blog. I'll give you the link because it was way at the beginning of the Facebook page, and there's so many pieces you have to scroll way down. But there's some real pattern because she showed me her wedding dress. She took, because she got married with someone from a different state. It's called province, like in Quebec, in Canada. They do have 14 different provinces. And when they get married, the woman take the color of the man. So in her case, it was green velvet and gold thread. It was just amazing, so beautifully done, unbelievable. You'll see once you start looking on internet for that, are just discovering a new culture, because we heard so many terrible things about Afghanistan, but they do have quite of a long history of embroidery, of the way they shape their dresses. I'm not talking about their burqa that they're wearing now, but anything like the costume, the traditional costume, are just amazing. And this is what we wanted to do, is propose to the people these beautiful patterns that reminds these beautiful dresses that might disappear over time if they do continue wearing burqa, because they can't, unless they wear them inside and within their own family. They're not allowed to wear them in the street. They have to be covered. So
I wanted to ask another question. If somebody, Roberta mentioned installing it in an immigration center.
that would be
And
great.
yes, but could it be installed without any corners and just like a big long strip all the way around the top edge of the room? Like, does it have to
It
be?
would, but the thing is, if it's too high and let's say you put it in a ceiling, you won't see the detail of it.
Oh,
So
okay.
it would have to be, I know in Italy, they will be installed it on a wall close to the sea in Marotta. And it's like a cement wall, and it will be on the inside wall. And I know it will be very long. There won't be many corners, but at least they will have one and a small one, and then another long one. But there's
Oh,
like a long snake, having
uh-huh.
probably 2 or 3 twists instead of having 5 or 6.
Right.
Okay.
So this is the beauty of it. Depending on the place, first of all, the size of the wall, if it's indoor or outdoor, they're all going to be different, but basically the same. We all do the same section, same size, and same corners.
So you said something about gluing the pieces onto a
Yeah.
board. What
Yeah.
what are you gluing it onto?
It's so funny because we're sitting, I'm working on my board because I just received it this week. It's called Sintra. It's a PVC, condensed PVC. I could send you all the information. I'll just show you what I do with it. The white one, I do have a piece of white one here. because I do big project in school. I had these leaves cut out of this material.
How do you cut it? How do you cut it?
This was laser cut,
Oh.
but it's easy to cut with a jigsaw or for a straight line like we're gonna be doing, it's just a big X-Acto and a little bit of trend. So you get to the edge of a table, you score and you cut and then it breaks it. It's quite easy. If I could just show you, it's quite easy to.
And where do you get that board?
I get it in Montreal, but I'll give you the information. It's an architectural. Probably if I see, I just did a cut, and if I just put it on the edge. There we go. I didn't cut the, so it's quite easy to cut.
And that's strong enough to support all those pieces?
Oh,
Like,
yes, yes.
no, like if we made one big board and glued all our pieces onto that, is that?
No, it's gonna be like each section, because we want to be able to transport the piece. The one in Montreal will be transportable to museum. So each section will be long. So if I do have 10, 25, just about 2 meters, which is, well, we figured out close to 8 to 10 feet, depending on the number we do have of sections. And the corners won't be attached to them. So we will put not screw, but these, let me show you. I never know how to call them. T-bars or T. Just received my big bag. And you set your, just open it. There's 2 pieces. It's called, I think it's T-bar. Yeah. It's 2, like.
Hold it up a little higher. Hold
Yeah.
it-
Okay. So this goes, these are 1/4 inch. Okay.
Okay.
So, and I have a good link to show you how to install them. So you push that, you drill a hole in your panel. So you do have a drill a hole, and these little pin there, whoops, sorry. This
Yeah.
little pin gets in there, and the other one screw. I do have 2 males, but you do have the female in the male, and then you screw them. So this is very, very tough, and the pins get to the foam. Okay.
Right.
And what I do is I put a loop for frame that we use for framing.
Like a wire or?
Yes, exactly. So I will be putting these loop to it. What I'll do is I'll make you a setup and because we're not ready yet, but in
Right.
2 weeks or 3 weeks at the most, once we do the first one, we'll show you how to do it. So if you want to do it, unless you want to send them to Kim, and yours will be installed with probably all the pieces from the States in Washington. I think we'll try to get all the pieces from East and Center states in Washington, and the rest to California. Just so.
Okay, so one more question. When you hang your scarf, you're hanging each row separately?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Because we want to be able to, because we've been invited by different museum of history in Toronto, the one in Quebec City. So it might be traveling before we find a final place to install it, which will be probably in Ottawa.
Oh, okay.
Close to the embassy. So this
We've had,
the thing is, we want this piece to be seen, to to be a piece of conversation about Afghanistan. I know we're all talking about the war right now, but they're still starving. They're still not allowed to really go to school, as the women are quite, they haven't found all the rights that they had before. And the funny part is, in the 70s, these women, most of the older ladies, they were wearing mini skirt.
Right, right.
It's
Right.
such a clash, such a losing every liberty they do have. They have to travel with men. So it's I heard some stories from this family in Afghanistan. She said, we don't know how privileged we are to have all these rights in North America and
Right.
Europe as well. Yeah.
Right.
Madeline, I have a few more questions that have come in.
Yes.
Will the pieces be cataloged so we can find our own piece once assembled? and
Yes.
installed?
Yes. We will send everything with names, well, once we're gonna receive them, because we have the whole list for 600, we gave a number. So that number will correspond to the installation. If you're number 600, whatever, we'll know where exactly each pieces go.
Should we be writing our names on the back with Sharpie, silver Sharpie or anything? No.
No, when we will receive them, they have to be in a box. This is why on the shipping, it's nice in the States because for the I think it's $9.45, I can't remember exactly, but for less than $10, you could ship it anywhere in the States in a box. So as long as you bubble wrap and you make sure that it doesn't shake in the box, you
Right.
could go anywhere. So in Canada, we have the size and the weight as well. And why we decided to do it that way, it's because we wanted to lower the cost for people. I know in Africa, Middle East, the cost is very expensive. So we didn't want the artist the musicians to send it to Paris or London, and the cost would be so expensive. I send a piece, just to give you an example, I send a piece from Montreal to Italy, to Carrara, for there's a huge installation of roses. It's called Roses for Carrara, and it cost me $70 to ship 3 roses. They were about that size.
Wow.
$70, and that was in July last year, and it got in Italy 182 days later. And why? It's because I gave the average of the price on the piece. I said it's worth probably $300, and I shouldn't have done that. I should have said it was a gift and it was just $25. She had to pay $70, no, $100, the equivalent in Canadian, $100, which is probably for you guys $80 plus in custom. So that 3 pieces cost like $200. Sort of. That's really crazy. So I had my lesson. So we're checking for every country to make sure that it's the cheapest for the Mosaic.
Okay, there was a question about sharp edges.
Yep.
How to deal with that? Are people going to be touching these or
No. It's like when I do, well, all my pieces, usually this is something that I think the piece will last, and if it's sharp, for me it's very important. If you do use sharp edge, try to sink them in the Thinset as I'm really, so nobody could cut themselves. We don't know if a child or you just, oh, look at that, it's so beautiful, and then schluck, cut their fingers. So I would tend to really careful if you do use pieces like I showed you. Where are they? These ones. They're beautiful, but they're very, very sharp. And unless you do have something to tumble the pieces and make them like recycle pieces, you have to sink them in the Thinset.
Mhm. Mhm.
So unless, yes, it could be grouted as well, but
Right. Could
The-
you tell us,
yes.
could you tell us again how many pieces we would need to create our own scarf if we
To
wanted?
create your own scarf, you would need a minimum of 36 sections. Otherwise, it would be too small, and it's like it doesn't have enough to
36
make a
sections.
statement.
And how many corners?
36, I have to check. I think it's 5. And it all depends the height, because you could have like 5 sections, one corner, 5 section, another corner, and make it very, very high, or you could make it very, very long. That's the fun. So if you find a wall that is sort of very long and 8 feet tall, you could make it longer and have less corners. So I wouldn't worry about the corners right away, but you know you're gonna need at least 3 corners for sure. And you need an odd number. So it could be, usually there's more left, because we read from left to right. So you need more left corners than right corners. So it's easier that way.
Okay,
So,
so there was a question about, or a comment that if we did do our own, there, you know, may be able to do it in the immigration center, but we would need to have somebody step up and be willing to project manage the whole thing.
yes.
And
But I could help you for that, and I'm not very far. We're planning to do ours in September, but the fun part is because I didn't want to end up with at the last minute with all the pieces. So this is why we asked for May. July, we're supposed to receive 1st of July, receive all the pieces. So we're gonna start in July, but probably with the amount I do have in Canada, it will probably take me a day or 2 at the most to prepare everything.
mhm.
Some has to be grouted. This is why we're asking the direct method without grout. It's nice, it's clean, it's an easy method, and you end up with really beautiful stuff. You'll see when you start to look at the international, when you go on the Facebook page, under the photo with there's an album, it's called International Mosaic, and you'll see those who are grouted, those are not they're ungrouted, and those were done this way with the direct method. So obviously the direct method, like I just showed you, is no work at all. We just have to glue it, cement to cement them to the board, and that's it. We don't have anything to do. But some of them we will be grouting for sure.
Okay, so Carol had another question related to the grouting. Do you want them to grout their pieces, or just use the Thinset and? No.
If you prefer the method, because some people do tend to be comfortable with their own method, and they want to do it, let's say, in stained glass and really grout their pieces. it's okay. It's fine. The only thing is we have to take that in consideration. A grouted piece, if it's not properly packaged, might move and crack, and we'll see it. Once the grout is cracked, because you don't know how the package will be moving in transportation. So this is why if this crack, like this piece is, this one, I do have one, it's just like, it just bends a little bit, but it cracks in between. So once it's set in the back, you won't see it at all. But if it's grout, you might see a thin line of the grout. But it's fine if you prefer that, and you'll see. I think there's probably 200 pieces already on the Facebook page. I don't know if I could. Did I share the screen? Wait a sec. Let me see if I could just show you. Share. Oh no, because you're recording. I think this is why I don't have access.
No, I made you a co-host, so you should be able to share your screen.
I can't. Nope. It's like blocked.
Okay.
So I invite you to go to see all the pieces on the Facebook page. Just click on the link. You receive, Amy, the all the information. I think I sent it to you and Suska as well.
I have the information for the email for people to sign up. I also have the PDF of the shipping information from Cam that
but you didn't receive. Let me check your email and just see if
I have the information you sent to me as a person who is participating.
Okay. I'll send it to you as a virgin, like just if I send it to the participant, and you could just share it to everybody else to make sure that they have all the detail, because there's a part where we explain the project itself, where it goes, and all the details are in that email. So for the States, I send as well the shipping information. So it's one block, one full email, and you have everything in there. Basically, there's not many groups we had to do a Zoom or anything. Pretty much, it's self-explanatory. Yeah. Okay. But we let the people. I prefer showing you how to do it, because this, since I think probably been 10 years now that I work that way. I've grouted so many pieces, and the grouting is fun, but so messy, and you end up having a clean work that way with the piping bag, and you just do one section. And if you go for lunch and you come back, that's the fun part of it, is this bag. Where is it? I don't know where I've put it. Lasts for at least 2 or 3 hours for sure, if it's not more, because there's no air inside. If you just make a knot and make sure there's no air, because it's the contact with air that makes the Thinset cure.
And you said something well, at the bottom of the bag where you've cut it open, how do you keep that closed when you go to lunch?
It's like peanut butter. It's very thick, so it doesn't flow. Okay. Not at all. I see. It's and usually when I work, I won't be using that one tonight, because I have other things to do. I have all these participants who I have to put on the list. So I will just probably do a slab so I cut in pieces. You could use this afterwards, like I showed you. All these pieces, they're so hard. They're like rocks, and they cut easily. So you could end up with, you could make your own Thinset as
Right.
pieces, and
Right.
that's fun. So if it's see, it won't flow itself. If it flows, if it really comes down, it's because it's too liquid.
Okay.
But think about peanut butter, a smooth peanut butter, but or icing that easy to put in a bag.
Okay, so you sent Amy the link for those bags too,
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Then my other question is, if we're on tonight, does that mean we're already registered with you? do we
I
have
don't
to
know if I do have all your names,
No,
because I need your email and I need your full name. Sometimes people just send me their first name and whatever, and I do the full name. I do need for registration the full name, and just send your name and say you with NEMS, and I'll register you guys. So once I receive your photo, because before shipping your piece, make sure you send me your photo, otherwise you won't be published. So it's very important. So we receive few pieces every day and we post them every day. So at the end, we should be having probably 700, 800 pieces for sure.
so I think there may be some confusion.
What?
In order to be part of the project
Yeah.
and have your piece be shown in, let's say, Washington, D.C.,
Yep.
you will need to send Madeleine an email.
If you send me your name, all you guys tonight, send me your name and your on an email, and I'll send you back for sure the information. So individually, you will have all the information, and if you forget something or whatever, it's all in there. And you, once the piece is done, you send me back the photo to the email I send you, and at the end you could ship it to or keep it. If you do have an installation, you'll have to let me know if you do make your own installation.
Right.
That way.
So if we do decide to make our own installation, we'll need at least 36 pieces plus three
Plus
corners.
few corners. But there's some group, I would say, in Japan, they're a small group, but they will be doing 3 or 4 pieces each. So they will end up having about 40 pieces. And since Japan is, well, space is quite something. They are very small spaces. So they just changed the corner is a little bit tighter. Instead of having, I do have space in between here. They barely have any space. So each row will be much closer. So they just redesign a little bit the corners. So because, and just slightly, if you do have a corner and the long stretch of section, and you just move slightly, and it a degree here would be like 2 inches at the end. So
yeah,
they will have a much denser scarf, I would say, in Japan, but it's the only one so far.
So basically to everyone at NEMS, if you want to do an installation in the Boston, Connecticut, or New York area, and you're willing to be the liaison between NEMS and wherever it's installed, and set the deadlines and the parameters for the project, and do the installation, then we'll be able to do that.
Yeah.
If you want to just make a piece that will be installed in Washington, D.C., you can do that as well. So let me know how you want to proceed, I guess. This is to the NEMS folks. Can someone ask if we could get your email address?
Yes, sure. It's the Mosaic for Afghan women. So I would write it down, but I just noticed that it reversed. So
Yeah, no, somebody had written it down earlier.
So it's Mosaic, MOSAIC, for Afghan, AFGHAN. So there's no S at Mosaic. Some people do tend to put an S, but there's no S. So Mosaic for Afghan women with an N, E-N,
at gmail.com. If you go into the chat, at the beginning of the chat, Linda Biggers had mentioned, had put down the email address.
Yeah, exactly. Actually, I received some, I had received one person who couldn't make it. What was her name?
Madeleine, if we've already registered with you, I mean, emailed with you, does that mean
Yeah.
we're registered?
Yes, yep.
Okay.
Yep.
All right. Thank you, Amy. Thank you, Madeleine.
Thank you very much. I'm looking forward to see your pieces, and I know they will all be all different, and I'm so glad that you want to contribute, because it's a cause. Maybe, I don't know, next year somebody asked me, are we going to do something for Ukraine? We haven't finished that one yet, so we'll see, because it doesn't seem to be that will be resolved very quickly, that new war. We just finished with the pandemics or so, and we didn't need that.
No.
Oh,
Okay. Well, thank you very much, Madeleine. I really appreciate
if
it.
any of you have any question, technical question, whatever, just I will be pleased to answer you by email. It's not a problem. Or you could, if you go to the Facebook page, you could also send a message to where it says message. So it goes to Messenger and I answer. You get the first there's a pre-registered message that says send to Mosaic, blah, blah. And it's in English and in French, but I answer, I'm the one who take all the messages. So.
Okay, all right. Any last questions before we end? We were gonna do some work together on our mosaics, but I'm wondering if people want to do that, or whether we should just end the meeting. Any thoughts on that?
Do you work all by in your home on Zoom? Is that the way you've been proceeding with the pandemic?
We have a lot of webinars on Zoom,
Okay.
but people tend to work in their own homes.
Yeah. Okay.
Or in a mosaic studio.
Okay.
Wherever. All right.
All right.
Well, thank you very much, everybody. I'd appreciate it. And we'll make our mosaics, and
Okay.
we'll begin to see some beautiful work.
Good. And in case you can't make it to the deadline, just send us an email, and I'll let know Kim in the States, because she's the one who will be doing the installation. So just let us know in case, because I know you're starting later than most of the people, but it doesn't take very long. Within half a day. Mine takes a little bit longer because it's quite complicated, but Otherwise, a few hours, it's quite easy to do. Yeah, the corner is a little bit longer to do though.
Yes, it's more complicated.
So
Oh.
I'm sending you everything.
Yes,
Uh,
I'll send it out. I'll send it out to everyone.
Okay, perfect. Good
Okay.
then.
Okay.
So if you don't mind, I will be sending you all the information Friday because I have to leave at 5 o'clock tomorrow morning to go to Quebec City. So, and I still have a lot of packing to do. So on Friday, I promise I will send you all the information. Is that okay?
Yeah, no problem. Thank you very
Okay.
much.
Thank
Okay.
you very much.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.